Oh, hi! Didn't see you there. Psych! Just kidding. So, last video was on succeeding houses. This one's going to be about cadent houses. The weakest and most exhausted houses of the heavens. So, again, this is going off of Deb Holding's book, because nobody is born with intuitive genius, and you have to struggle and read to learn about what people smarter than you have figured out. So, going off her book, I take no credit for this, just as a heads up. You just read the right things and you figure out the right stuff. So we're going to talk about the 6th and the 12th houses. I'm sure that some people have 6th house and 12th house stuff. And in my chart, if you throw it in whole signs, everything's in the 6th, 8th, or 12th house. Oh, it's great. But I don't use whole signs, so fuck it. I use Alcabetius for those curious. In ancient astrology, the 12th and 6th houses had similar meanings, both connected with weakness, infirmity, and toil. Manilius said of their axis, the temple that is immediately above the horoscope, and is the next one, but to heaven's zenith, is a temple of ill omen, the 12th house, hostile to future activity, and all too fruitful of bane. No, nor that alone, but like unto it will prove the abode, which with confronting star shines from the Occident to adjacent to it. 6th house. And so that this temple should not outdo the former, each alike moves dejected from a cardinal point, with the spectacle of ruin before its eyes. Each shall be a portal of toil. In one you are doomed to climb, in the other to fall. Oh, that's really great. Oh yeah, just happened to give me all 12th and 6th house stuff. Now, we don't get to choose our births. We don't get to choose when we pop out of the womb. But, makes you feel any better, you can alleviate some stuff if you use astrological magic. Of course, I'm sure that someone out there will be super excited about this. Will be like, oh, yeah, this is a great way to remove my doom and gloom. And then you just find out that you just can't do it. Just as a disclaimer, nobody gets everything. So, if you do not get anything, or everything, I can try and help, but, astrology is not always happy bunny land. So, anyway, continuing on from this rather grim suggestion. From this passage, it can be seen that the overriding basis of their weakness is their cadency. Each alike moves dejected from a cardinal point with the spectacle of ruin before its eyes. Oh no shit, you just said that. The word cardinal comes from the Latin word cardo, meaning hinge, axis, or pivot, and is used in a general sense to indicate something of primary importance. To Manilius, the cardinal houses represent power because they support the heavenly spear. He claims these points are charged with exceptional powers, and the influence they exert on fate is the greatest known to our science, because the celestial circle is totally held in position by them as by eternal supports. Interesting. Again, I'm not telling you what to believe. I want to say I'm telling you how it is, but you can think what you want. But this book is written by someone smarter than me, learned from smarter people than her, at a time when people were probably generally smarter. So, if you want to be a fool, you can be a fool, or you can learn the right way. The succeeded houses are so named because the planets within them succeed by diurnal movement to the cardinal position. Manilius said that the 5th house is not as yet in the position of power, but is ready to aspire to it, meaning that the diurnal motion will carry the stars within it to a position of greater influence when they enter the 4th house. Remember how I said in the last video? Well, if you didn't watch the last video, who cares? But so, the 11th going to the 10th. Oh yeah, you climbed up the mountain. You got your legs. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. It's kind of what the 5th house to the 4th house is. Except, in this case, you're a miner or something. You got your shovel, you're digging down to the diamonds in the 4th house. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And I don't know, it's just kind of helpful to, figure out what you're doing. It's like the opposite of the 11th, 10th house Mount Everest shit that I called like the last video. But, it makes sense. The 11th house is more optimistic, going up to the 10th house because it's reaching the highest point. And I guess similarly, if you're going down from the 5th house to the 4th house, it's aspiring to an angle. That way it's aspiring to more power. You're digging for those diamonds, but you're not there, but you're getting there, and you're gonna get there someday. That's the idea. As stupid as it sounds, I think that's the idea. The Latin word cadent means falling or declining, and comes from the same root as the word cadaver. Didn't know that. Which means decayed or fallen. So, I got things in the cadaver house. That's great. And which, in a medical sense, refers to a corpse. A planet in a cadent house has been carried by diurnal movement away from the cardinal position, symbolizing someone who has moved from a position of strength into a condition of weakness, or representing a fall from grace. The angular houses signify our seats of power, places of familiarity and control. The further the distance between a planet and the angles, the less potency it possesses, and the more alienation it experiences in its environment. Originally, all of the cadent houses had some representation over foreign places and situations. The lack of familiarity undermines the ability to be effective, in turn denoting weakness and bringing implications of fear and danger. But whereas the fortunate aspects from the ascendant to the 3rd and 9th houses alleviate this, in the 6th and 12th houses it is aggravated by poor accesses to the light of the ascendant, which is exactly why they are pure shit. And sorry, I know you want to talk about your past lives and all that shit. Things that remove your freedom and power of your natural ability to worry about your physical existence, which I'm sure you cannot wait to get rid of and leave, but while you're on this planet, in this mortal realm, you have to focus on the things that are present in front of you. Things that I think a lot of modern astrologers like to deny because they don't like to hurt people's feelings. I don't like to hurt people's feelings either, but when I was in a dark place at one time, I wanted to know what it really was. What does this mean? If you want to know, I mean, I don't have all the answers, but I think I have a good idea. Anyway, that's the idea. Angular, strongest. Succeedant, we're doing it. And then cadent, kind of a good way to think about it. Oh, gee, my Mars is in Taurus, conjunct Algol, which is the head of the demon, and not a very good fixed star. In the 12th house, I should make a talisman based off of it. No, don't do this. Someone will probably sneak into your house at night and lop off your head. Probably not, but I don't know. In any case, I really should have more to talk about for this, but that's pretty much the general idea. I should probably go over why the 6th and 12th houses are so bad. The 3rd and 9th houses are great because the 3rd house is the house of the goddess, the moon. The 9th house is the house of God, the sun. Twins, but exactly the opposite. Alright, fine, I'll go over the 12th and the 6th houses. Let's continue. Although we continue to refer to the 9th house as the house of the church, we have generally slipped from recognizing it as a house that is reflective not only of philosophical and intellectual quests, but also of shades of spiritual or religious belief and experience. The 9th house relates to meditative, inspirational, personal, pagan, divinatory, and mystical influences, as well as orthodox worship and some other customs that I can't spell the word of. Whatever the nature of your God, whatever the basis of your belief, even the rejection of it in atheism, this is signified by the 9th house. Overlooking this, many modern textbooks associate astrologies and astrologers with the 11th house, perhaps being unwilling, stupidly, to recognize astrology as primarily divinational, although sciences and all fields of learning that attempt to advance human knowledge are attributed to the 9th house as well. Similarly, many traditionally 9th house matters such as dreams, visions, spiritual communications, and revelations from the gods, even spirituality itself and union with God, are frequently associated with the 12th house, through a combination of its association with the unknown, assumption of Piscean intangibility, and the modern theory that the 12th completes the life cycle of the houses through dissolution. Which could not be any more incorrect than me saying, 1 + 1 = fish. Stop it. Don't read those stupid books. You're wrong. How am I wrong? Oh, well, can I have a source? Oh, okay, let me just go back in time and find those 5,000-year-old books that I've been reading. This is one area where it would be easy to misrepresent the fundamental basis of the 12th house signification through association that further and further edges toward positive implications. No, no, no. That which is unknown may be reflective of the unconscious, but it would be taken a serious distortion of astrological philosophy to view this house as indicative of spiritual connections with God. Such a suggestion is not supported by traditional texts, which refer to the 12th house as evil, the most difficult, hostile, and unfortunate area of the chart. In view of the fearful terminology, it is no wonder that modern astrologers find their traditional associations of this house unpalatable and sometimes prefer to look away. Termed the portal of toil by Manilius and bad spirit by others, it is traditionally associated with imprisonment, slavery, poverty, misery, malicious motivation, disgrace, infirmity, self-undoing, and all manner of affliction by which vital self-expression is impeded. It describes that which is kept hidden and out of sight. Hence it relates to secrets, clandestine activity, subterfuge, and manipulative enemies. William Lilly gave it the signification for witches, and it is possible that our idea of mysticism springs from that. But Lilly was thinking of such men as maliciously undermine their neighbors or inform secretly against them, a characteristic appropriate to the essentially malefic nature of the house, whereas our general understanding of spirituality and mysticism is not. The basis for the unfortunate reputation given to the 12th house is the assimilation of various strands of negative symbolism. Cadency lies at the root of it, but Ptolemy proposed that adversity is further emphasized because the luminosity of stars in this portion of heaven is obscured by its acute angle to the ascendant and the exhalations of the earth. He writes, "It is called the house of the evil demon, because it injures the emanation from the stars in it to the earth, and it is also declining, and the thick, misty exhalations from the moistures of the earth create such turbidity and, as it were, obscurity, that the stars do not appear in either their true colors or magnitudes." And what do we, learning traditional astrology, care the most about? Say it with me now. Empirical, observational, practical evidence. Seriously, you're not gonna believe this stupid crap if it wouldn't make sense to you when you're looking at it without your little telescopes. Would you? No. I'll answer that for you. No. Anyway, that's the 12th house. No, it is not pleasant. But, well, like I said, we don't get to choose. Anyway, let's continue on. I'm just like thinking, like, what do I say for people that have full 6th houses? I mean, maybe you have a full 12 houses. I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't know, you might have a great life. I don't really know. Or there might be like people at your doorstep like, "Oh, hey Jim, how's it going?" And they're holding a knife behind their back, just waiting to stab you when you're taking a shit. I'm sure that's not happening anytime soon for all my viewers, all 100 and whatever subscribers that I have. But maybe, just don't be a shitter. But it's easier said than done. Let's move on to the 6th house. And like I said, the 9th house and the 3rd house are great. But let's focus on the ones that nobody likes to talk about because they're weak. And I told you they were. Nobody listens to me. Nobody cares. Nobody listens. The 6th house. In the symbolism of the ancients, entrance to the underworld has taken place in the 6th house, and the process of penance has begun. The 6th house is a temple of Mars, Nergal to the Mesopotamians, who represented to them the feared lord of the underworld and the author of pestilence and disease. Firmicus tells us that it is an unfortunate house because its rulership is by Mars, but its cadency and lack of aspect to the ascendant have also played a major part. Like the 12th, the 6th house was perceived as a hostile area full of misery, labor, and toil, and specifically related to the matters of illness and disease. Anciently, it was said to represent slavery, but perhaps in a milder form than that of the 12th, since its traditional rulership is primarily concerned with servants, maids, and laborers, or the mundane chores performed out of necessity. Many modern astrologers, being aware that the sixth house rules labor and toil, often overemphasize its influence in career matters and professional concerns. Yet the word profession and career suggest a striving toward betterment, which is properly represented by the midheaven. The sixth is concerned with drudgery and holds no promise of advancement. To use such words undermines the negativity of the area and the physical restraint it places upon us. The fact that servants were attributed here is a reflection of the level of respect they commanded. They are paid to do the menial tasks that nobody wanted to do. The work that is symbolized by the sixth is performed out of need. Employers have no relevance here, though employees clearly do. The sixth house does, however, have some signification for those professions that demand a great deal of poorly rewarded hard work. It also rules professions that are directly involved with illness and disease, and we find in traditional aphorisms that Mars' conjunction with Venus in this house is an argument for a good physician. Jerome Cardan recognized the sphere of Mars as relevant to the study of medicine. I fucking knew it! In one of my older videos, I thought that Mars was the ruler of medicine, and I went back and I was clearly wrong. But I don't know, I read it somewhere, and here it is. But I still don't know if that's true because, you need surgery? Oh, well, let's just chop out your heart because I'm Mars and I hate everything. I'm sure that's not how it is. So, blah, blah, blah. Possibly because traditional medicine could be so painful and surgery was often compared with butchery. I just said that. But still, it offers another interesting reflection upon the fact that Mars finds its joy in this house. Very interesting. There's a widespread tendency to refer to the sixth house as the house of health, with examples of this occurring even in the classical period. But this is poor terminology, since the significations of this house represent the factors that afflict our health. Health and vitality is described by the first house, illness by the sixth. In decumbiture, we evaluate whether the first house ruler is a stronger, more effective planet than the sixth house ruler, in order to judge whether the patient has the innate strength and vitality to overcome the afflicting disease. Our animals are also reflected by the sixth house, especially smaller forms of cattle, which reinforces the link with farming and agriculture, which became so popular in the medieval period. The origin of this rulership is derived from the perception of animals and beasts, especially as beasts of burden, whereby any animal kept by a human owner, whether domesticated or not, is to some extent refused the liberty of those that exist in the wild. Lilly states that the sixth house rules all manner of lesser cattle and small beasts, while the 12th rules great cattle, such as horses, oxen, and elephants. Ibn Ezra, an awesome source if you want to read more, offers a basis for the distinction, saying that the 12th rules all animals which serve as a mount for man, suggesting the association is based upon levels of servility and mastership, and emphasizing the connection that the axis bears to the restriction of liberty and free will. But larger animals also generated fear in communities less controlled than ours, provoking a sense of vulnerability we can only imagine if the wild animals we happily visit in zoos and enclosures were encountered in the wild. Oh yeah, well this lion is, part of the 12th house because we ride on it. And then it's released and then we're all fucked because it's super strong and it's super strong. So, yeah, the 12th and the 6th houses are not fun. But this is how I think about it. If you're going to have a divine science and it's going to rule over everything, I mean, as an example, if God set over mighty spirits of the seven over our mortal, puny, pathetic affairs, I'm sure he has more important things to do. But if he sets these things over us, it has to include everything. All the good and all the bad. Well, no, it doesn't include all the bad. It's God, whatever. Oh, so when you wake up, why is John Smith getting shot across the street? Oh, well, he deserved it. He deserved it, huh? It's for his higher good? For his karma? Yeah? Get the fuck out of here. Bad things happen sometimes, guys. Why? Who the fuck knows? That's the hard part about astrology. You think about, why did my grandma die of AIDS or cancer? Why couldn't she have lived? That Robbie Rotten guy actually passed away, I think, yesterday. Why did he have to die? I don't fucking know. And I'm not going to go on to the normal spiel. The reason I mention that is because I'm not going to go about talking about, well, you know, he was born at this time, and this means this, and his Saturn was conjunct the sun, and, you know, he's going to die. We're human, and we have to respect that people dying sucks. But for heavenly spirits, dying is a stupid concept that doesn't exist. And it's hard. It's hard because you don't want to focus on the stuff that's bad. You don't want to focus on the fact that you might get robbed or stabbed or shot or slave away to a company that doesn't give a shit about you. Unfortunately, these are parts of life that we have to accept. And the only reason I say that is because, I mean, I don't have any ability to fix that. I'm just a guy. And so are you. Or a girl. Whatever you are. Or a robot. Or a bed. Or an attack helicopter. Whatever you are. The reason I mention all these angularities, succedents, and cadent houses is because if you want to work with magic, you have to know what the points are that are the best and which you should avoid. I could have stopped at the angulars and just been, here, put them here, at the ascendant and the midheaven, you're good. But I want you to get like a whole picture of it. I should probably talk about how if you put the malefics in cadent houses, they're probably a little bit better if they're in shitty houses, because cadent houses remove planets' strengths. But I'll just leave it at that and just kind of, if you put a Saturn in the 9th house, he's not going to do as much evil as if you were in the 10th house. There you go. End of story. Apply that to Mars and Saturn and other places. So that's about it. I know this video, I would say, is a little bit more optional for planetary magic, but I want to also teach you guys some basics on astrology. And to be honest, I'm no expert. There's too much stuff to learn about traditional astrology that I could never accept myself as an expert. I'm not. I wish I was, but by the time I'm an expert, I'll probably be at least 63 or something. It takes too long. And honestly, the rewards can be not worth it. But that's why I wanted to start this channel, for magic, because everybody likes magic. And everybody wants to, you know, worship Beelzebub Boop or Bibbidi Bop or whatever. What do you worship nowadays? Some crayon spirit that you draw on a piece of paper? That is not true. He does this and this for me. Oh. Alright, so my, 5,000-year-old, time-honored and, eternal spirits don't have any real semblance. Got it. I think this is the real deal, guys. And, I just kind of want you to get a more well-rounded experience for it. Next video, I'm going to talk about the days. Really important, and I was thinking about this yesterday, so I was getting excited. So anyway, whatever. Alright, see you next video.